very pleasant good morning to one and all. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the Wednesday's episode of Speaking Out Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Wednesday. I know on Monday the last program, I was saying that was Wednesday, but today is Wednesday, the 16th day of October 2024. Let me make sure I get that right. Today is Wednesday, the 16th day of October 2024. On Monday, I said it was Wednesday, the 14th. So that was a mistake. I make mistakes, and I would not tell you that you were not listening. My apologies for making that blunder. So here we are today, Wednesday, the 16th day of October 2024, ready to give you another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. And we have so much to tell you this morning. We have so much to tell you. So sit back, relax, get your notepad, and be ready. We have lots and lots to tell you this morning. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is already in the studio, and he's raring and ready to go. So sit back. The schoolyard packed. The schoolyard was packed this morning, and when we opened the school door, you students are in here in large numbers. The program was scheduled at exactly 7 o'clock this morning, and immediately the schoolyard, we started to flow into the schoolyard. And we're going to tell you about that. So this is the day, Wednesday, the 16th of October, a day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It's a privilege to be spared to be in the land of the living. So we all have to give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to see this new day. But as we said, so much is happening in this. There's a guy about, we say, this civilized plantation that we have to go into the details. You know, we are the ones who would analyze these statements and these reports and let you know what the facts are. Some said true facts, what the true facts are. And let me tell you, as I said, so much to tell you, so much. And when I gave the notification for the program yesterday, when I gave the notification today, I said we're going to deal with a particular issue. We have so much more to talk about this morning, and we're going to go into it shortly. I know we have the format with the roll call with all the students in the compound and all of that. Some people say, well, look, man, you must try and cut out this roll call. It takes some time. But we said we got to give students time to come into the classroom, man. So don't rush. Let's stay with the format. I'm going to rush through the roll call as quickly as I can, make the few announcements that I have to make. And then, so sit back, man, sit back. Don't get impatient. The learning will be worth it. The learning will be worth it. The information that is to be disseminated will be worth it. So sit back, right? Again, I say we have to give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to be in the land of the living. And we should not take that for granted. Program was scheduled at 7, and a lot of students ran into the schoolyard immediately. The first person was Peter. Then they all came. This set came in together. Lucius from Maryland, Barlett from Linden, Tessa from Florida, Brian from Brooklyn, Brennan, Ulrich. Then you have MH came in, John came in, Magna, Joseph, and then we have all this. Then Derek came at 7:01. So the first name that I called came at 7. We had from Derek, Sean, Dexter, Pauline, they came in at 7:01. So too did Diane, Patricia, Wayne, Hako, Magnell, the African Queen, Winston from California, Courtney from New Jersey, Floyd came in, Colin from Queens. They all came in at 7:01. Then we had at 7:02 Wayne from the UK, Ronald, and it goes on like that. We had Raul, Sean from Schenectady, New York, Aubrey from Canada, Carl, then it was Mary from Brooklyn, Leon from Brooklyn, Carlton is from Brooklyn, Kevin, Joseph, Malcolm, Pito from Queens, Francis from Melanie Damashana, Derek, and this is Derek McCammon, Anka, Desiree from Georgia, Pamela from West Dem, Original Blackman, Desiree, Vibort, and this is Vibort John, Roxanne, and then it was Sydney, George from the East Coast, Queenie from Brooklyn, Winston, Marvin, Anthony, Puran from Essequibo Coast, Lynette from the UK. Then we had John, V. John, Well, V. John might be related to me in OCC. You can't remember. Nandali said, I'm B. John, Bajan. But we have a V. John now. Then you have Princess Orr from Lamar Springs, Felicia, Joan from New Amsterdam, Lennox, Kenneth, and Kenneth. Then we have Orin from the UK. Clarence is here. Clive from the UK. Rayburn, Kay, Vibort, and this is Vibort Lawson. Cecile, Clifton, 9339. Smitty is here. Patricia. And then followed by Patricia Atlee, followed by another Patricia Wren. They came together at 7:13. Hazel, Brenda, Linton, Court, Easy, Winston from the UK, Everett from Texas, Diane, Tiffany, the secretary Denise, Sharwin, Matthew, Richard, Carlisle, Kanama Rukman is here, Shalan, Monica, Kisun, Neville, Aileen, Ulrich, Barbara, Monica, Derek, Annette, Sandra. Then we have Nigel, and this is another Nigel, DeAndrew, followed by Nigel Horatio, Ruth, Randolph, 12538, Fergus, Onika, Glendis, Kerry is from Maryland, but he said he enjoyed in native land, Guyana, Marcus, Howard, Bonita, and Jakey from Maryland is here as well. Pito came back here. Vibort, and this is Vibort from the East Bank of Demerara, Vibort White. And after Vibort, it was Siobhan, then it was Charlene, then Isabella, Gordon, Stefan, Floyd, then Melissa, next Vibort Smith, 7464, old detective. These old detectives must be groaning when they see what's going on now with these investigations, these so-called investigations. Emerson, then it is Clifton from Paris, Earl, George, and this is George Mars, Marcus, Ainsworth, DeMarque, Phil. Then it was Rhonda Lane from, then I'm still in the house. Glenn is here, Glenn out of the UK. Then Rawl, Rastaman, Lance, Jacko from Georgia, Etta from Queens, Keith from Barbados. He said, Bim in the house. Stefan, Gary, Grace is here with us. Grace is gracing us with her presence. Bart, Maureen, Danny, another detective who must be groaning now to see what is going on. Another former detective. Allison, Monica, Umi is here. Donna, Brantley, Terrence. This is Terrence Young, 9795. He's from Canada. Joy, Carl Artman, my squad mate, 9414. He is from Arizona. Joseph, Henrik, Abera, Doreen, another squad mate from Canada. Maury is here. And then it is Lynette from the, Lynette is here. Rohan Jahawar is with us. Siobhan, Machu, David, Moses, Ivla, Simo is here. Hazel, Salima, Amanda, Ovid, Michael, Royston, Monica, Delan, Glendon, 0540 from Untag, Namibia. Then it was Don, by Michael in the British Virgin Islands. Michael, your squad needs some help. Michael is 14126, I think is number one. And 14141 needs some help, Michael. Dennis from Barbados, Dorette, Marva, Richard, Gordon, and Denise from Florida, Joseph, Lester, Michael Connolly, Gloria, Nicola, Sean, then it was Norbert R. Crawford, Sharwin, another Sharwin, Aaron this time, Orville, Arel, Chilo, Gillian, Cedric 8219, Charles, John Rogers is here, Melville, Simua, Lorraine, Courtney, this is Courtney Lajardia, Lennox, then it was Ronald, Terrence TK, 9135, O'Neill is here, Vernon, and this is Vernon Beckles, Dwayne, May, or me, or it is pronounced Dave, Karen, and then she was the last person on YouTube, and then the first person Facebook, Simone, followed by Abdul from Esequibo Coast, Carlton is here, Stian, Commissioner Cole is here with us. Then we have Lyndon, then another Tessa, and the list goes on and on and on. Arthur is here. And let me jump into this thing, man. Let me make the announcements and tell you. I encourage you again, share the live. Let people know today is going to be hot like pepper, hot like fire. So much to tell you, so much to dissect. And in terms of the announcements, let me Birthday today is the birthday of a very good friend of mine. Even though I haven't seen him in a long while. Simeon Gorek. Simeon Gorek was an officer in the Ghanaian Defense Force, and then he used to be with the National Guard Service, and then he came across to the police. I remember, we were very close. We went to university together. We did our diploma and our degree together. We were study mates. And when I was at traffic headquarters there, and we wanted to design or redesign the lawn driver program, Simeon is the man who worked along with me to put that package together. So Simeon, happy birthday to you, my friend. We got to touch base. And then belated birthday, we did say advance birthday to Commissioner Felix on Monday. Now belated birthday to Commissioner Felix. He deserves these many announcements. Advance and now the belated birthday greetings. We also want to send belated birthday greetings to retired Senior Superintendent Courtney Ramsey. Ramsey, very, very good police. He's the man where they bypass to get the squad to assistant commissioner. So those who thought he was seniority and all this, everything, come and bring the facts. They bypassed him, qualified, experienced detective, divisional commander. When the list went to that police service commission, from the real police service commission to the service commission in Rob Street and Brigham, they took his name off. He went to court and won the case. He took the matter to court and he won the case. So congratulations on your birthday, my friend. And then former Sergeant Natasha Alkins is celebrated. She had a birthday recently too as well. So I want to wish all those who are celebrating today and those who celebrated recently all the best on the birthday. Before I bring in Mr. Conway, let me bring in CC now, and then I'm going to go into some brief further announcements, and then we're going to move on. CC, welcome. Hope you had a good night's rest.
Yes, I'm happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. Had a good night's rest. Belated and happy birthday to those persons that you mentioned. I know we're going to have a very hot day today. The program is going to be very, very hot, so let's get on with it.
Let's get on with it. Now, the first thing before we go deep into the program, cricket, I see Aileen and Jacko and a lot of Jakey and all that cricket fans are here. West Indies took a beating. The men took a beating yesterday. After winning the first T20 yesterday, they were bundled out. I think they were replying to 160 or something like that, bundled out for 89 or something like that. I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that they won the first game, in the manner they played, because that spin attack that Sri Lanka got there, and the fact that they're going to make the wickets dry, wickets are going to be dry, so the ball turning square is cause so concern for the West Indies. Because we all know the West Indian batsmen don't fare well against the spin bowling, right? So let's see. The final game is coming up shortly. Let me see. But the bright spot yesterday, I know many of you don't follow women cricket, but the bright spot yesterday was that the West Indies women team who are participating in the Women T20 World Cup, yesterday they defeated England to advance to the semi-finals. They defeated India, and they bowled out England made 141 for 7. And West Indies replied with 144 for 4 in 18 overs. They are now through to the semi-finals to play against New Zealand. And the other semi-finalists are Australia and South Africa. And I think West Indies playing on Friday. So we got to follow the ladies too. Can't just follow the men. You have to follow the ladies too. So congratulations to the women on advancing to the semi-finals. You remember in 2016, they won the T20, the Women T20 World Cup. So we're hoping that they can repeat this time around. So yeah, that is by way of that. Now, let me go straight into a matter. First of all, before I go on, let me remind you all of this. I'm going to bring in CC, but let me remind you all of this. Do you remember this? Look, wait, remember this? A couple days ago, Big Smith Newswatch said if Irfan Ali confirms he cannot stop cup indeed, we hope all the pharmacies got pressure pills and that the pressure testing kits are in working order because Paul Slow and Clinton Conway will need it. I tell you all, I don't suffer pressure. But I saw over the past couple of days, 2 different lawyers wrote to Big Smith and Leroy Smith demanding apologies for articles that he posted. And they're talking about apologies and monetary compensation. But you know what tickled me, CC, is the response. Let me see if I can find it here, man. The response from lawyer UC Anderson. Hold on, y'all bear with me a while. Y'all gonna love it. The response from the lawyer Anderson, who responded to Dr. Din. Dr. Din wrote on behalf of the minister Anand Prasad, because one of the persons that Big Smith wrote about was Anand Prasad, and therefore Sanjeev Dr. Din wrote, and UC Anderson, the lawyer, a man of words, responded to Dr. Din. And I'm going to read for y'all one of the paragraphs, not the whole thing. I found this one so amusing. He said, we have been instructed to respond, and we do so in the ensuing manner. Apologies and retractions for the publication made on 14th of October 2024 by Leroy Smith in respect of your client's forwarding of any message will happen only when the temperature in L reaches freezing point. Waiting for same might veer between eternal and what is proverbially referred to as never-ary. The man said, let me read back the part, but I found it very, very amusing. He said, apologies and retractions for the publication made on 14th of October 2024 by Leroy Smith in respect of your client's forwarding any message will happen only when temperature in L reaches freezing point. Waiting for same might veer between eternal and what is proverbially referred to as never-ary. Never-ary. So let me see where that will go. Let me see. Because I remember that Sanjeev Dadadin too had written to, on behalf of the minister who was escorted, and they say question when he arrived at JFK some time ago. Dadadin wrote and demanded a retraction and demanded an apology. And Mr. Anderson responded in like manner. And I never happened yet. So he writes again, and I never happened. And then to follow up on that letter from Sandeep Dadadin to Leroy Smith, yesterday, Satram, the lawyer, Satram wrote on behalf of the head of SOKU, making similar demands of Smith. So let me see. I hope he buy out all these blood pressure tablets and the kits and all these things. Hope he left some for the geriatrics. Hope he buy out all. You know, they say when you dig hole, you must dig two. One for who you want to put in and one for yourself. See, I am sure you would have found that very, very amusing. I'm sure you saw the exchange of love letters between the lawyers and so. What are your views, my brother?
Yeah, I love UC's right here, very, very interesting and to the point, Well, I know what the one who's weak down the leg side is going to do. I hope he ain't built all them pressure tablets, But let me see what's going to happen. Never hurry.
Well, no, what is the pressure tablets to, toilet paper? Toilet paper used to be a short supply a little while back. Toilet paper might go into short supply again because they might need it. But let me see. Dance. Let me see. I see he come out today with the next thing there. I say I should say it, they, thing, whatever pronoun is used. Came out with some other thing, batting terribly, but he batted it like West Indies. Shea Bulldog and LBW, he get in there. So let me move on, students. The first, well, those things are really introductory and so on, thing. But one of the things I saw, and we should have commented on some time ago, but we did not. But I think it is opportune now for us to analyze it. And I'm talking here about the abduction of this man, Joshua David, called Brick. And on the 12th of this month, Starbrook News carried an article headlined, 7 suspects in Main Street abduction case granted bail. And let me read it. It's not a very long article. I'll read the relevant parts. 7 men who are the main suspects in the abduction of Joshua David appeared yesterday at the Georgetown Magistrate Court where they were granted bail. And the names are mentioned there. I'm not going to go into the names. The acting chief magistrate, where they were jointly charged with abduction of Joshua David, called Brick, which occurred on September the 26th on Main Street, Georgetown. The men were not required to enter a plea. The prosecutor, Inspector Jones, objected to bail on the grounds that the police had received information that the victim was murdered and the search for the body was ongoing. The prosecutor also told the magistrate that the police have CCTV footage that captured the accused in the commission of the crime, and also eyewitnesses to the crime. However, the magistrate overruled the prosecutor's submissions, citing that the crime was a bailable offense under the Act and that the police have not found the victim's body. The magistrate subsequently granted bail to the accused, $500,000 bail each, with condition that they report every Friday between the hours of 8 and 16 hours to the DDO, that is the Divisional Detective Officer, or Station Sergeant at the Brigdam Police Station. The case was then adjourned to November the 13th. Meanwhile, they called the two names who appeared before the magistrate for a second time. They appeared before the magistrate on the second time. On their first appearance last Friday, they were charged with abduction, contrary to Section 4 of the Kidnapping Act, and remanded to prison. The magistrate yesterday threw out those charges, and the duo was jointly charged with the aforementioned 5 suspects and were also placed on $500,000 bail. Well, we got to quick analyze it quick before bringing Mr. Conway. Hey, what happened here? This man was abducted. Joshua David Colbrick was abducted in Main Street on the 26th of September. Men held him, put him into a car, and then he disappeared. Police started to search for him. They issued wanted bulletins for the people who were alleged to be involved. 2 of them turned themselves in initially, and then subsequently the other 5 turned themselves in. You have all sorts of rumors going around about police. Some senior police officer was in communication with the suspect, all type of thing. Oh, I'm not going to deal with that aspect here now. But the point is, the men were in custody. It got to the stage where, based on the reports in the media, the police had to apply to the High Court to get extension beyond 72 hours. When 72 hours was approaching, the police applied to the High Court and get permission to keep them in custody beyond the 72 hours, right? All right. So eventually they are now charged, all of them. 2 were charged first. The 2 who were charged first were remanded to prison. Listen to this carefully. The 2 who were first charged were remanded to prison. Then they charge now the 5. So what really happened is that the first 2, the charge against the first 2, it would appear that was withdrawn or resident signed, whatever. But then they charge all 7 of them together jointly with the abduction of this man. And the police prosecutor, quite rightly in my view, applied, submissions for bail to be refused. The magistrate overruled that, and the police inspector said that one of the reasons the prosecutor told the magistrate that this person has not been found, and that the police believe that this man was killed, and they get CCTV camera and witnesses and all of that. And then the magistrate said, I can't believe this. The magistrate said, the magistrate refused, the magistrate granted bail. However, the magistrate overruled the prosecutor's submission, citing that the crime was a bailable offense under the Act, and the police have not found the victim's body. But I would have thought that the fact that this man who was abducted was not found, either alive or dead, that is sufficient reason for the bail for them to be refused bail and remanded. You're not find this person and the police operating on the premise that this man has been killed, because if you recall some time ago, they went to the East Coast there. They went with dogs, they searched the back of Lusignan and Buxton, somewhere in the Annandale area, they searched. They even went with a forensic science vehicle. And I said, and we said on this program before, if you're going to go there with a forensic science vehicle, that means you're operating under the premise that this man has been killed and perhaps the body is somewhere there. And it was shocking to see that in light of all of this man then recovered, then find this man either dead or alive yet, and the magistrate granted bail in the sum of $500,000 to these people. I can't, when these things happen, you have to wonder where we are in this country. Again, let me explain. The people charged for abduction, fine. The prosecutor is making an application for bail to be refused. Proper representation. The magistrate refused. The magistrate overruled the prosecutor's submissions and said that the body of the victim has not been found. That is the reason why they should be remanded. That is the reason, because the man either alive, the body of this person, or the man himself has not been found. So that is reason why these people should be remanded, but $500,000 bail. I would like to know why I'm almost certain that shortly after the men on bail and the men walking about the police. So while the investigation is continuing, so by the find this man, because by now, 26 to now, almost 3 weeks, right? As I said, I walk in the premise that this man is dead. So the people who are suspected to be involved in this crime are sent to report to the police every Friday. To report to the police every Friday. See, let me hear your explanation. See if you can untangle this web, man.
Well, it's another case of inconsistency in granting bail. Is it suspected a person is being killed, body not found, and then the two persons who were charged previously, they were refused bail. Now they come for the same thing, and together with others, they charge. I think they charge jointly that they granted bail. And then the thing is, they if they I don't believe that if the words are true that I understand coming from us to say the offense is bailable. I mean, as long offense is bailable, you send people on bail. You're defeating the ends of justice when you behave in that way.
You made a very valid point. The same, you're charged with the same offense. I don't know if it's the same magistrate, but you're charged, two men charged with abduction, and they are remanded to prison. Bail is refused. Now, the same two, along with 5 others, are charged with the same offense. And the same two who are remanded first, along with the other 5, are now granted bail. And according to the report, the magistrate said, well, the body has not been found. The body has not been found. God help us in this place. God help us. I hope that I still can't believe that will be the reason that is a bailable offense. And as Mr. Conway said, there are many bailable offenses. So you're suggesting that just because the offense is a bailable offense, the person should be sent on bail? And this is such a difficult case. Well, I said an egregious case. This man was kidnapped. You have evidence of him being, well, not kidnapped, abducted. You have evidence of him being abducted. The police operating under the premise that this man was killed. These are the suspects they claim who they saw abducting this man. And you're telling me that you're going to send them on bail? You are sending them on bail when when 2 of the 2 persons came first, bail was refused to that 2. And now the same 2, along with 5 others, you are sending them on bail. God help us. God help us. Now let me go into the other matter. You were talking for weeks about the pending appointment of Clifton Ikin, who is the acting commissioner of police, to the substantive post of commissioner of police. And a lot of people make the point, people who are experts, like the former Auditor General, said that the appointment will be unconstitutional. The other human resource expert, John, said the same thing. My colleague, Mr. Conway, did the research, said the same thing. What is the issue? The issue is not whether you can extend the commissioner of police to the age of up to 60. The question is, according to what the law is saying, that this person has to be the commissioner of police. Like in the case of Balaam Ragabi, Larry Lewis, the Henry Green, Brummel, they were commissioner. They weren't acting, they were commissioner. And they were extended before they reached the mandatory age of retirement, which is 55. In this case, Ikin is not the commissioner, and he has passed the mandatory age of retirement. So I think it was last Thursday, the vice president said that they are going to be, well, he's reported to have said that they're going to be advised, the attorney general will advise as to the lawfulness of appointing Ikin after he has passed the age of 55 and the fact that he is not commissioner substantive. They said the attorney general will advise. Now the attorney general counted a long thing, trying to justify, say that there's nothing wrong with appointing Ikin to the post of commissioner. And I note that CC wrote extensively on this. So I'm going to invite him to explain to you students before I get me say as to what this thing is all about, where we are, or what, as I wrote extensively. So let him tell you what his writings are. CC, over to you, my brother.
All right. I'm going to repeat some of the things that I mentioned in my letter. It is clearly established that the appointment of the Commissioner of Police, where the President will appoint after meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition and chairman of the Police Service Commission, who would have consulted with other members of the commission. And this doesn't call for agreement, as in the case of the Chancellor and the Chief Justice. But it's a big bit of wrangling. I hear the Attorney General mounting up himself in terms of what is meaningful consultation, giving the impression that a letter between Gail Teixeira and on behalf of the President and Aubrey Norton, leader of opposition, that is meaningful consultation. I don't believe in that. I believe they got sit down and they got eyeball one another and a proper discussion. But you saying just writing letter. And I always remember Henry Green. Henry Green said, people don't talk. People don't talk. That you have to sit down and discuss. But coming back to it there, where there's a very critical point in this appointment of a commissioner of police. Now, the Constitution does not speak about extension of a commissioner of police. It talks about appointment. It talks about exercising disciplinary control and removal from office. It does not speak about extending the services of a commissioner. But a constitutional prescribed matters, chapter 27:12, gives directions where the president can approve for a commissioner of police to be extended, but that is before he reaches the age of 55 years. And I'm going to read it. But before that, I saw a long letter from the Attorney General, and it is intended, as far as I'm concerned, my honest opinion, to deceive and to mislead the nation. He quoted section 2B of when we talk of the same prescribed, the constitutional prescribed matters, and he quoted part of it. He didn't give the full quote. He deliberately left out some essential words, some operative words, some important words. And this same document, the same legal document, speaks about the extension of commissioner, not acting commissioner, not a substantive senior superintendent. It talks about the extension, and it says that he got to be beyond before he reaches 55 years age. Now, this is what the Attorney General posited. Very misleading in certain aspects, and he left out some very operative words which I'm going to. Let me read it. The Commissioner of Police shall vacate his office on attaining the age of 55 years, provided that, A, and I want you to listen carefully, the President acting on the recommendation of the Police Service Commissioner who attained the age of 55 years to continue in office until he attained such later age, not exceeding 60 years, as may. And this part here is important in bracket, open bracket, before the Commissioner of Police has attained, and then he close bracket. He left out a very important point. And let me read exactly where is it. What the act say? B, the President acting on the recommendation of the Police Service Commission tendered after the Prime Minister, the Attorney General mentioned Prime Minister, has concurred in that recommendation, may permit the Commissioner of Police who has attained the age of 55 years to continue in office until he has attained such later age, not exceeding 60 years, as may. And this part is important, that the Attorney General clumsily omitted. Before the Commissioner of Police has attained the age of 55 years. In his presentation, in his documentation, he left out the part, the age of 55 years. And that need to be addressed because it's saying you gotta reach, you gotta be, before you're appointed, yeah, you can't pass 55 years. And there's where the attorney general left out the age of 55 years. That isn't in his documentation. So to appoint the commissioner, you can appoint him after he passed 55 years, and he can has passed 55 years. So the attorney general has got to address that part. That he can has passed 55 years, and you can appoint him when he's past 55 years. To do so would be unconstitutional, null, void, and have no legal effect. And it's not the first time that the attorney general has misled people, giving them wrong information. I'm sure you're going to deal with that later, Paul. But and I must say that the attorney general is no paragon of virtue. He's no paragon of virtue. Many times he would mislead the nation. Many times he mislead the nation. And in this particular case, he's not addressing this 55 years, that he can has passed 55 years. And the last you can appoint him when he passed 55 years. And the law talking about commissioner of police. He didn't talking about acting commissioner. He didn't talking about suppose as assistant commissioner, and that is taking substance position. He's an assistant commissioner, but he's acting, and he was extended. The land type of person being extended, and then you're going to appoint them. You got to appoint them before they reach the age of 55, and it calls for consultation with the leader of the opposition and the chairman of the police service commission. Meaningful consultation, not letter writing. Letter writing is not no meaningful consultation. They must sit down and talk, and as we normally say, and there was eyeball mati. So I'm saying the attorney general must address the point of 55 years. He can pass 55 years, and according to this law, before you're going to extend the person, they got to, you have to do it before they reach the age of 55. To do otherwise would be unlawful, unconstitutional, ultra-vires, null and void, and of no legal effect. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks. I hope the students following. And since you made a very valid point about letter writing, that can be considered meaningful consultation. Letter writing is when that in and Satram write to Leroy Smith, but is the letter writing. And when you see Anderson respond, that is the letter writing part. But the Constitution talk about meaningful consultation. Meaningful consultation. And let me tell you all this. I anticipated, I might have mentioned it here too, that the AG can try to do something to say, well, no, this thing is lawful and this thing is constitutional. Can you recall, if you can't, let me remind you, that in 2021, when they wanted to suspend the Police Service Commission that I chaired, Mr. Conway was a member, the Attorney General advised the President that it would have been lawful and constitutional to suspend the Police Service Commission, which the President did on the 16th of June, in the absence of a Judicial Service Commission. And Article 225 of the Constitution spells out the process, and it says that this whole thing got to have to involve a Judicial Service Commission. They got to set up a tribunal and all of that if you want to suspend a constitutional body. There was no Judicial Service Commission at the time, and the Attorney General advised the President to go ahead and suspend. And the President set up, he went ahead and he suspended. And you recall, I, on behalf of the Police Service Commission, challenged the suspension. We challenged. We had Mr. Selwyn Peters out of Canada as our lead attorney, and later on he was joined by Mr. Dexter Todd and Mr. Dexter Smart. The matter came up before Justice Gino Passad in the High Court of Guyana. And here what happened. Once the matter came up, the same Attorney General went into all sort of legal contortions to have the matter thrown out. First, we had named the president as a respondent. They successfully argued that you cannot name the president as a respondent because he enjoys immunity under the Constitution. The judge agreed, and the judge ordered that the president name be struck off as a respondent. No sooner that the judge did that, the Attorney General informed the judge, same day, that they had filed an application to have the entire matter thrown out on the grounds that the life of the Police Service Commission by then had come to an end. That went through all sorts of argument. The judge finally ruled that notwithstanding the fact that the life of the commission had ended, it ended on the 8th of August 2021, said this matter, and he was referring to the suspension of the Police Service Commission, is of sufficient public interest for the matter to be heard and determined on its merit. And the judge went ahead and he said, well, look, what is going to happen? You're going to substitute Paul Slow in the place and stead of the Police Service Commission. So this action now was no longer Police Service Commission versus the Attorney General and the others. It was Paul Slow, I against these people. Legal contortions again. He appealed that. The Attorney General appealed that decision to the full court. The full court concurred with Justice Gino Prasad and said this matter must be heard and determined on its merit. However, what they said, there was no need to substitute Slow in the place instead of the Police Service Commission. Slow can be added as an applicant, and they added me as an applicant. And all illegal, they took on the Police Service Commission, then took on the King's Council. Can't recall his name, that thing, Dash and Ram something. He came to represent the Police Service Commission. At one stage, they decided that the Police Service Commission had no interest in this matter any longer, and therefore they wanted the matter discontinued. The court, people say, well, yes, the Police Service Commission, they are free to pull out, but they cannot decide whether Paul Slow wants to continue or not. And I said, well, I continue and I'm pulling out. Then they went on, and they gone, and then eventually, the judge handed down his ruling after all the legal arguments as to why this constitution was violated by the president. They want to claim doctrine of necessity, or it was necessary because police officers had taken the Police Service Commission to court and all sorts of crap, they argued. And the judge ruled finally that, let me read what the judge ruled. Let me read. The judge ruled, hold on one moment. The court later ruled that the suspension of the Judicial Service Commission was A, unlawful, B, ultra-virus Article 225 of the Constitution, C, arbitrary, D, unreasonable, E, unfair, 5, in violation of the suspended chairman and commissioner's constitutional rights to the protection of law and the due process of law, G, null, void, and of no legal effect. And then in the disposition A, what the judge said, it is hereby ordered and declared that judgment be and is hereby granted in favor of Paul Slow as prayed for in para 1 of the fixed date application in the following terms: that the suspension of the chairman and members of the Police Service Commission, the commission, namely Chairman Paul Esmond Slow, CCH, DSM, JP, and Commissioners Mr. Michael Samarsal, CCH, DSM, JP, Mrs. Claire Alexis Jarvis, Mrs. Vesta Adams, and Mr. Clinton Andrew Conway from performing the functions of their respective offices in the Commission, which His Excellency the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana did order by letter dated 16th of June 2021, were contrary to, in violation of, and ultra-virus the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the Constitution, and in particular, Article 225.6 and 210.3, and therefore of no force and effect. That is what the judge ruled. So, again, I say, Nanla can tell them anything, and maybe they're going to follow. I suspect they're going to follow and going to make the appointment, notwithstanding all that is going on. We're going to talk about it later. But I'm saying that it will not be the first time that the president is misled by Anil Nandalal, the Attorney General. I must add that that ruling was appealed. The ruling of Justice Prasad was appealed. And we are nearing nothing yet. Like the ruling, what people fail to remember, right? And I'm reminding you that when Ikin was appointed to act as commissioner, that appointment was challenged. And the Chief Justice ruled that it was lawful because at that time, again, they argued there was no consultation between the opposition leader and the president as is required by the Constitution. The Chief Justice ruled that at the time when the appointment was made, there was no opposition leader, and therefore the president could not have been expected to follow that aspect of the Constitution. I agree with that. I did not agree, and a lot of legal people say I'm no liar, did not agree. Because they talk about necessity, it was necessary to appoint him at that stage, and also other things they said. Right? But that matter was appealed. I know that is one of the sad things. That was since 2022, the matter is appealed. A decision in that has not been rendered as yet. To say whether what took place then, the appointment in the absence of consultation, was lawful. It is not, the matter is appealed. If I remember well, it was Mr. Selwyn Peters and Mr. Roy Zilford, senior counsel, who dealt with the matter and they appealed the matter. And that has not been decided as yet. So Nandalal can write what we want to write. The president can go ahead, as I suspect he will do, and appoint Ikin and so on. But again, don't try to blow smoke in people's eyes. Nandalal, I say again, did advise the president to suspend the Police Service Commission. Get Lion Mark Phillips to write two letters for us to show cause why we should not be suspended. Mark Phillips, the Prime Minister, I call him name. He can go to court. I have the document. I have the affidavit that he swore to with a pack of lies. He and Jaigobin Jai Singh, the Secretary of the Police Service Commission. I have their affidavits where they told a pack of lies. Right? And I said, you can't hold the Bible or the Quran or the Gita or whatever book, holy book, and tell them type of lies and believe you can sleep good. Even if you feel you're sleeping good, karma is a bitch, going to catch up with you. Karma is going to catch up with you. Just ask Brutus. Karma will catch up with you. Right? So all of that, to say, I'm saying it again, Nandalal, in that case, the Police Service Commission, which became Paul Slow versus the Attorney General, the judges ruled extensively about the whole ruling that the judge made, the entire ruling, and point out the thing that it was unlawful. The Constitution says, Article 25, if you want to suspend the Police Service Commission, you have to get the Judicial Service Commission to set up a tribunal to inquire into whatever complaint of misconduct is made. At that time, there was no Judicial Service Commission. So therefore, this could not have happened. And let me tell you all this. When I looked into the crystal ball, I was working in St. Lucia at the time. And I reached out to my lawyer, having regards to what was going on. And I told him, I said, look, let me understand, let me prepare for this. They are going to suspend the Police Service Commission. That was sometime in June, early June. I told him so. I said, but he said, but I can't, because it was, I said, watch me, they're going to do it. They are going to suspend. No Constitution. They don't get regards to the Constitution, right? None whatsoever. And when the thing came out on the 16th of June, and they sent the thing, and I called him, right? He reminded me that I had, I reminded him. So remember I told you, they're going to bad the law. The commission had like about 53 more days or something like that. They will suspend the commission and do all the legal gymnastics. And that is exactly what happened. So this time around, same thing. They're going to go ahead and they're going to make the appointment. They're going to say if you want to challenge the appointment in court. By the time it run for how many years, they extend this quarter. They might park it in some garage or some pasture somewhere or give some other job to do. But who is going to suffer? The country, the nation is going to suffer. As it is suffering now. We got to go into the next issue now that we see circulating today. We are going to go into it. But I just wanted you to know that the letter that is circulating, purportedly written by the Attorney General, that the appointment of the commissioner, Ikin, will be lawful and constitutional is BS. Because as Mr. Conway explained, the thing is clear. The appointment has to be made to a commissioner of police, and it has to be made before you reach the age of retirement which is 55. Let me bring in Mr. Conway if you want to say anything more on this, and then we are going to move on. CC?
Yeah, let me stress on them and let me read again what in bracket. Before the commissioner of police has attained the age of 55 years, and Nalal in his long letter there, he left out the part, the age of 55 years. He read before the commissioner of police has attained, full stop, close bracket. But the age of 55 years isn't there. Well, again, he might blame it on his IT administrator, who will remain nameless. Or he might say he didn't see the final document. He's gonna be like Shaggy, he gonna say it wasn't me. Or like Michael Jackson, Billie Jean is not my girl, and Jade is not my son. So look out for thing there. Here, I didn't see the final document, and they're gonna blame it on the IT administrator. But he has time to address this issue before the commissioner of police has attained the age of 55 years. That is what you got to think. Well, and it's important the framers of this kind of this law put it boldly in bracket. But perhaps Nandal ain't seen though. He ain't seen though. Yeah, he's there elsewhere.
Now, in the announcement yesterday, I told you how we are going to this wedding planning arrangement. But as some of you would have seen, we had some interesting development overnight, which I feel compelled to go into at first. I think we can able to go into the wedding planning thing a little later. We might bring it on another day. But what I'm referring to is an article in today's Stabrook News, dated the October the 16th. Today, this is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. And hear what it says. Hear what the article in Stabrook News today said. And it's a caption, Soku probe into Brutus finds no evidence of crime. Stabrook News today, friends. I know if you in Guyana, you could buy a copy. If you are not in Guyana, or even if in Guyana, you to go online, you got to subscribe and all this to get it, because you got to be subscribed to them. In other words, you got to pay. Jackie Opel has to visit, right? But I have a subscription, so I got the article. Hear what it says. The investigation into acting Deputy Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus. Again, you're going to acting Deputy Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus. You need to be consistent, Stabrook News. Sometimes you refer to as Assistant Commissioner, sometimes you say Acting Commissioner. He's not Acting Deputy Commissioner, he's not. He's an Assistant Commissioner who was performing the functions of admin and more latterly the functions of head of special branch. So let me go on. The investigations into Acting Deputy Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus conducted by the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, has officially concluded with no evidence of any offense being committed. Documentation obtained by Stabrook News yesterday confirmed the closure, assigned by Assistant Commissioner and Head of SOCU, Fazil Karimbash. Efforts made yesterday to contact Brutus and Karimbash for comments proved unsuccessful. The investigation focused on allegations of money laundering and other serious offenses, but the findings did not substantiate any such claim. And then the court here, investigations were conducted which revealed that no case of money laundering nor any serious offense was established, as advised by the DPP. Hence, this investigation is closed. End of quote. The statement read. Home Affairs Minister Ben publicly acknowledged the inquiry in July 2024, stating that Brutus has proceeded on leave to facilitate the investigation. He underscored the gravity of the allegations, stating that no promotions will be considered for Brutus while the inquiry was ongoing. SOCU has already commenced the investigation, and the government will be guided by the outcome for such investigation. End of quote. Ben said at the time. The decision of SOCU investigate a senior police officer had raised eyebrows. Critics argued that the involvement of SOCU in examining a high-ranking police officials might create perceptions of bias and conflict of interest. Brutus and the supporters had maintained that the claims were unfounded. Reports had circulated regarding various improprieties allegedly involving Brutus and other personnel within the police force. However, the police administrator Eve Leary dismissed them, attributing a recent rotation of personnel to factors unrelated to investigation. In a detailed statement given to investigators, Brutus had explained that he deposited for the $6.4 million on January 17, 2024, asserting that the funds were proceeds from his wedding on November the 11th, 2023, and Christmas gift. His statement dated May 14, 2024, pointed a picture of a permissive culture within the police force and access to a variety of fringe benefits. Brutus indicated that after his honeymoon, he sorted through his wedding gifts and prepared a declaration of the source of funds, but could not deposit them due to his busy schedule. He added that during December 2023, he received various incentive awards, stipends, and extra duty payments from the police finance department, alongside personal gifts from friends. Consolidating his Christmas and wedding gifts, he recognized that it was a large sum and decided to deposit it as a precaution. On January 16, 2024, he prepared a declaration of the source of funds for Christmas gifts amounting to $8.48 million. The following day, he provided a teller at the Demerara Bank Limited with declaration, copies of his wedding invitation and marriage certificate, along with cash and check totaling $46.4 million. The teller processed the deposit and provided him with a receipt. On May 14, 2024, Brutus reported being contacted by Assistant Superintendent Brutus Ryan, who informed him of allegations of money laundering made by the Financial Intelligence Unit. He stated that he offered to have relatives and friends provide statements to support his declaration made during the deposit. Brutus, a police officer for 25 years, pointed to a cultural phenomenon of gift giving in Guyana. Quote, during my tenure, I have developed many friendships with people of all walks of life. I have received many personal gifts before becoming a policeman and throughout my tenure, end of quote, he said. He also outlined the benefits available to him in his position, stating that he resides in a government building, eliminating personal expenses on rent and utilities. In his current role, perks including a police vehicle and driver, a maid, security personnel, meals, medical benefits, a postpaid cellular plan, and allowances from various police-related entities. Essentially, there is hardly any requirement for me to spend the money received as salary and emoluments. There it is saved in my Demerara bank account. End of quote, he said. So Sabrotus reported that Soku said, find no evidence of crime, and therefore the investigation closed. Lo and behold, a little while after, Soku issued a release. Let me see this Soku. I get a release somewhere. Soku issued a press release, and then it said, Special Organized Crime Unit. The article, which appears in today's Stabrook News under the caption Soku probe into Brutus finds no evidence of crime, that's what I just read to you there, is misleading. Earlier this year, Soku launched an investigation into certain activities of Assistant Commissioner Brutus. And at the end of that investigation, based on the advice of the Director of Public Prosecutions, no criminal charges were recommended. Subsequently, based on critical information received by Soku from the Financial Intelligence Unit, a new and more expansive investigation was conducted by Soku. That investigation was concluded on the 1st of October 2024, and all relevant files were sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions for review, advice, and further action. In respect of the latter expansive investigation, Soku recommended dozens of charges. Soku now awaits legal advice of the Director of Public Prosecution. And that is the end. That is Soku released this morning. So once Stabrook News came out with this article that says that that there is no evidence, Soku said, if I find no evidence, then they're going to tell about the second investigation. For some of you, I heard about this before, is now we hearing that they had two investigations. They had one in relation to the $46.4 million lodged at the Demerara Bank, which was triggered by a suspicious transaction report, FIU, the Financial Intelligence Unit, and they said I want close. How we got to deal with that? Because they're saying that was closed based on a statement provided by Ken, the assistant commissioner, the acting commissioner of police, the squatter. Then now they're telling you that a more expansive, so once the first one closed, they get additional information from the Financial Investigation Unit or Financial Intelligence Unit, and a more expansive investigation was carried out. Now let me read. I want to read from News Source. And then I'm going to bring Mr. Cadway. We tell you it's quicksand, the more you dance, the more you're sinking. And then here what News Source, I'm telling you really, News Source Guyana is Gordon Mosley. When you hear newsroom, is a PVP propaganda arm, right? So here what News Source said this morning. The Special Organized Crime Unit of the Guyana Police Force has announced that it has recommended dozens of charges against Assistant Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus and is now awaiting the advice of the Director of Public Prosecutions. In a statement this morning, SOCU explained that while no criminal charges were recommended against Brutus following the completion of the initial investigation into certain activities that he was allegedly involved in, a more expansive investigation was undertaken after the unit received critical information from the Financial Intelligence Unit. The Financial Intelligence Unit was established under the Anti-Money Laundering Act as an agency responsible for requesting, receiving, analyzing, and disseminating of suspicious transaction report and other information related to money laundering, terrorist financings, or proceeds of crime. The statement from SOCU indicated that the expanded investigation, which was based on information received from the FIU, was completed on the 1st of October 2024, and all the relevant files were sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions for review, advice, and further action. SOCU said, in respect of the expansive investigation, it has recommended dozens of charges and is now awaiting the legal advice of the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Special Organized Crime Unit described as misleading a front-page report in today's tabloid news that a probe of the Assistant Police Commissioner has found no evidence of a crime. Mr. Brutus proceeded on leave earlier this year amid claims of financial improprieties linked to the Guyana Police Force's credit union. News source understand that while the investigation involving the credit union may not have found any wrongdoing on Brutus's behalf, it triggered the much wider investigation after millions of dollars were noticed in the bank accounts and the accounts of at least two relatives. Notice in his bank account and the bank account of at least two relatives. Report recently surfaced that Mr. Brutus, in a statement to SOCU, claimed that more than $46 million that he deposited into one of his bank accounts represented monetary gifts that he received at his wedding last year and during the Christmas season. Mr. Brutus has not denied those reports. In the same statement that he allegedly provided to SOCU, the Assistant Commissioner reportedly explained that over the years in the Guyana Police Force, he lived mostly in the barracks of the force and in housing provided by the force, and he was therefore able to save millions of dollars. In the statement, it was also claimed that in the run-up to his wedding, he was told by the acting commissioner of police not to spend money that he had received as gifts on his wedding, as he, the acting commissioner, would get his friends and contacts to cover the expenses of the wedding. A statement carrying what appears to be the signature of the acting commissioner recently appeared in the press, indicating that the acting commissioner had received $8.5 million from one businessman to cover the wedding expense of assistant commissioner. While the Special Organized Crime Unit was quick to deny ever receiving that statement from acting commissioner Akin, the acting commissioner has remained silent on the matter. Now, I have had a lot to say there. I've read a lot. Let me give Mr. Conway a chance at the button, and then I'm gonna come back. CC, let me hear you analyze this this thing, man. Let me hear you.
All right. But now the Stabrook News baited Suku and they ran away with the whole hook and everything. And as a result, Suku had to respond. But let me make it clear. Let me put things in proper context here, man. There were two investigations. There were two investigations. Investigation number one, Brutus deposited over, I think, $46 million at a bank. He produced what he called, he said, documents to show that this money was legally obtained. I mean, we're going to deal with that later on. The teller accepted the money. But the bank, in his wisdom, had the suspicion that this thing was part of money laundering, the deposit, that it was part of money laundering, a suspicious transaction. As a result, they report to the financial FIU, Financial Investigative Unit. Probably should have been a member of that some years ago. The Financial Investigation Unit, according to the information I got, contacted Suku and asked for an investigation. Suku started the investigation and contacted the extended squatter, the acting commissioner of police. And in an effort, I want to believe, to save his cousin, the number two man in the force, he wrote a long letter, which we will analyze, a long letter in an attempt to show that this money here that Brutus deposited was clean money. And Suku and the commissioner, they alleged a lot of cover-up, and they submitted a report indicating that it wasn't any part of money laundering. Surprisingly, the FIU agreed with them, and they closed the file and put it in cold storage. Nothing to implicate him in terms of money laundering. So clean money, close the file, end of the matter. The end of the force investigation. Subsequently, things surface about same financial irregularities at the police consumers, at the police quartermaster store, at other locations, including the credit union, involving hundreds of millions of dollars. An investigation, in-depth investigation, was done. The commissioner didn't write any statement so far. Investigations done, and what I gather is that since then, many offenses has been disclosed, including money laundering, falsification of accounts, embezzlement, obtaining money through forged documents, fraud, and others. I think the count I got is that there are over about 30 offenses committed. Over about 30 offenses committed. And they're saying that Brutus and others are culpable. A hearing that the file has gone to the DPP. I won't be surprised if the politically controlled DPP would say that there is insufficient evidence to prosecute anyone. And I want to give some free advice to some people that if that is done, even the DPP saying insufficient evidence, they must do what we call a Henry Green. Remember when the DPP recommended that Henry Green get charged with rape. Before the police could have contacted him, he rushed to the court. He rushed to Ian Chan, who was then the acting Chief Justice. And Ian Chan is to tell DPA, come before this court and justify why you advise the police to charge Henry Green. Come and prove to us. Come and justify it. They weren't able to justify it. Henry Green wasn't charged. So this thing could happen now if they said don't charge Brutus and others. Somebody can rush to the court and say, let the DPP say why she advised, if she do so, why she advised that Brutus and others should not be charged for any criminal offense. So the thing can cut both ways. But I'm saying, going back to the point, there were two investigations. The first one done, and they cook up it. Commissioner read a statement to cover his cousin and his number two man in the force, and to show that, hey, the money was clean money, got from other sources, including awards, incentives. And if they have awards, they used to give themselves awards, $800,000, $1 million. We're going to shoot once a year. They used to give themselves $1 million, $800, 800,000, and this kind of thing. Plenty money for the top gunners. And they go into welfare fund, the Lalo driver fund, and all the other funds, and rip them apart. But the point is that the first investigation was conducted, and they cover up, and they send the file. The file went to the FIU, and they decided that, hey, there is no evidence to prove that there was money laundering. And surprisingly, that investigative body agreed with them, closed the file in cold storage. And now, this big one, this second investigation disclosed numerous charges, over about 30 offenses alleged to have been committed by Brutus and others, not he alone, and others. Understand, it has gone to the DPP, and it's there for the DPP to decide one way or the other. But as I suggested, if the DPP adopted a certain course of action, certain persons should do likewise. So, two investigations, one in cold storage, and the other one is active.
Now, good analysis. But let me tell you about the first investigation. Let me talk about that. Based on what is being revealed, the first investigation was triggered by a deposit of $46.4 million, and I think at the Demerara Bank by Brutus. The money was accepted by the bank. The bank, as it is obligated to do under the law, reported to the Financial Intelligence Unit. And CC made the point, I was the first person appointed to head that unit, In 2003, when I wanted to get rid of me of the force with the Gadraj, when I declined, according to what my lawyer advised me to say, I declined to carry out that unlawful order by Gadraj, and then I declined to offer an apology at the insistence of President Jagdeo. I got a letter here, I got them kagaj, I was given a letter and unceremoniously moved out of the force to the Financial Intelligence Unit. At that time, the unit was passed, arrangement was made in Parliament, but no arrangement was made to set up the unit. So Jagdeo and Lunchan decided to send me to head the unit. Well, I went to court because my lawyer advised me that it was an attempt to remove me from my office without cause. And we went to court and we got an injunction, and the rest, as they say, is history. Now, the first man to have been appointed to that unit after I refused was Mr. Paul Gear. Paul was appointed, and he started the unit, and now I think it's Mr. Langevine has been there ever since. But let me tell you what happened. The money was deposited, $46.4 million in January of this year. One man deposited it, a police officer. So quite rightly, suspicions were raised, and it was reported to the Financial Intelligence Unit. They then informed SOCU, because as far as I'm aware, the Financial Intelligence Unit, they don't conduct investigations of this nature. They report to the investigative branch, which is with SOCU, because you're talking about money laundering, the suspicion of money laundering. So SOCU started the investigation. And here it is. SOCU, according to the statement from Ikin, dated May the 20th, 2024, right? And I'm going to read the statement. He was contacted and he gave a statement. It says the police headquarters is upon official police letterhead, May the 20th, 2024, Clifton Ikin, Commissioner of Police State. He wasn't acting then. He was commissioner. So he said, Clifton Ikin, Commissioner of Police States. Then he says, I am the Commissioner of Police, and my office is situated at the above-mentioned address. On September, this is what he's saying, I'll tell you gonna lies. On September 2023, I received an official wedding invitation from Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police, who is performing the functions of Deputy Commissioner Administration. I observed on the wedding invitation that the wedding and reception was scheduled for November the 11th, 2023 at the Pegasus Hotel, Georgetown, Guyana. I instituted a policy of motivating my officers through supporting them for social occasions such as weddings, birthdays, and anniversaries by providing support from stakeholders' approach. As such, I decided to continue this policy and proceed to inform several of my personal friends and stakeholders about scheduled wedding of Calvin Brutus. I'm reading just what he's here, Assistant Commissioner of Police. I recall that in the weeks leading up to the wedding of Assistant Commissioner Brutus, he informed me that several friends and family gave him cash and jewelry towards the wedding. I was also informed by Assistant Commissioner Brutus that several other of his relatives and friends expressed their willingness to support him financially. I was asked by Assistant Commissioner Brutus whether he is required to write officially for permission to retain the cash already collected and expected. I recognize that based on his utterances that the persons giving him the cash and jewelry were his relatives / friends / family, relatives / family members, and personal friends. As such, I provided verbal no objection to the process, in addition to the fact that it is the culture in Guyana, and these gifts were not connected to his official capacity. I contacted the management of Pegasus Hotel and reserved the venue Atlantic Conference Center for Assistant Commissioner Brutus' wedding reception. I also made an order for the meals, beverages, and accessories to make the wedding a success. I was provided with a quotation of $8,474,977 for the wedding package by the management of Pegasus Hotel. I informed several of the stakeholders that offered to assist with the wedding expenses of the quotation received from Pegasus Hotel. Between the 1st to the 10th of November 2023, I received cash from, he named the person, I'm going to call the person name, in a large envelope. Let me read that. Let me read it back. Between 1st to the 10th of November 2023, I received cash from, he named the person, in large envelope. I subsequently counted. Let me read that. I subsequently counted the cash, and it amounted to $8,500,000. I was told by the same person that the extra cash must be kept for any other unforeseen expenses that may arise. I subsequently sent Assistant Superintendent Lal, my personal assistant, to make the deposit to Pegasus Hotel. On the 11th of November 2023, I attended the wedding ceremony and reception of Assistant Commissioner Brutus. And then something looked blurred. Among the other invited guests, on the 11th of December, I received a refund from Pegasus Hotel via Scotiabank check number 034813 to the value of $981,000. I later gave this Scotiabank check to Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus because at everything that was paid for was consumed, there would not be any refund. Hence, in principle, it belongs to Assistant Commissioner Brutus and the spouse. I later submitted this statement, which is true and correct. And a signature, part signature there, they're supposed to have been okay. But let me go through this thing before we begin coming. Let me go through this letter, because in this letter, my understanding is that once Ikin submitted this letter, they accepted it at face value and decided that the funds that were deposited by Brutus for the $6.4 million, it wasn't anything illegal. So they accepted a statement on face value. But having gone through this statement, this statement get more old than Swiss cheese. If you see old in the statement, no old than wire mesh. Let me tell you of some of these. Let me identify some of these. He said, let me go on. He told the media, you remember, this is the statement he gave on the 24th, on the 20th of May. And in July, months after, he told the media that there was no investigation. No money was lodged. Let me play that again. I've always played for y'all to understand, man. I got to play this thing because they're going to come to say that Slow and Conway misleading people. So I'm going to play these things. Look at it here. Remember, let me follow the date. This statement that I just read is said to have been made on the 20th of May this year. In July, on the sideline of a conference at the Marriott Hotel, he said that there was no deposit, no investigation. That is what he said. Let me play it.
Guyana's Acting Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken today laid to rest claims that his Deputy Commissioner of Police Acting Calvin Brutus is on the investigation by the Special Organized Crime Unit. Hicken spoke with reporters on the sidelines of the first legal conference on criminal justice reform at the Marriott Hotel in Georgetown.
It's about Mr. Brutus and the multi-million dollar deposits. Is it true or not?
No, it's not true. And I made a release already through our system.
You didn't see that?
Yeah, I made a release. It's in the system. There was no investigation going on whatsoever.
And no deposits?
Nothing whatsoever.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Brutus
deposit. Brutus admitted in a statement $46.4 million deposited. And two investigations, not one. Two investigations were done. And the man lying. The man is lying. That is the man where they're going to confirm as soon as Commissioner of Police, That is the man that they're going to promote as the Commissioner of Police in Guyana, the leading law enforcement agency in the country. He's heading it now, and he's going to be rewarded by substantively being appointed to that post. So let me go further and analyze this thing. He said that they have a policy supporting his officers. He say, I instituted a policy of motivating my officers through supporting them for special occasions such as weddings, birthdays, and anniversaries by providing support from stakeholders. Who are the other officers, may I ask? You see, again, the closest thing based on this statement without analyzing the statement and doing the investigation, because one of the things you're going to say that if you say that this is a policy that investigates, is it a policy in writing? Who knows about this policy? Who are the other officers that you supported in the weddings, birthdays, or anniversaries? Who? Name them. Name them. But they're taking this thing as face value. Who are the stakeholders? You talk about stakeholders, this broad brush thing, stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders that you are referring to? Who are the stakeholders? Who are the officers who benefited from this support? And then why is he performing? Why is he informing? As he says here, hear what he says. Hear what he says. He informed his personal friends. He can inform his personal friends about Brutus' wedding. So I asked him, why is he informing his personal friends and stakeholders about another person's wedding? Big wedding planner. I tell you all, I put up advertisement. I doing wedding planning too. Send me invitation, and I can plan your wedding. I can get the stakeholders and the friends to provide the cost. And if you're throwing a little extra, I can find the bride and the groom for you. Bride or the groom for you. He is, imagine this is the commissioner of police saying that he informing, after he was presented this information, he is informing his personal friends and stakeholders of Brutus's wedding. Yeah, nobody asks, then investigate that. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Then they say, as I said, who are the stakeholders? And then he said the gifts were not connected to official capacity. This man is a deputy, is performing the functions of deputy commissioner administration and getting millions and millions of dollars of what in gift. You believe if he was a constable, he would have get the same amount of gift? You believe if he was a constable, he would have get the same amount of gift? It had to be linked to his official capacities, officers, the man in charge of administration. It had to be linked to that. And then here, what are going on here? Here, let me tell you all before I bring Mr. Conway. He said, here they say, man, this is the sweet part that I find, right? Let me read back a part, then I'm going to come to this. He says, I received an official wedding invitation from Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police, who is performing the functions of Deputy Commissioner of Operations. I observed on the wedding invitation that the wedding reception was scheduled for 11th of November 2023 at the Pegasus Hotel. So on the invitation, he's saying that the thing was scheduled for the Pegasus Hotel. And then later on, he said, I was provided with a quotation of $8 million, right? And then he said, hold on, let me get the part. He said, I contacted the management of Pegasus Hotel and reserved the venue, Atlantic Conference Center, for Assistant Commissioner Brutus' wedding reception. I also made order for meals and beverages and accessories to make the wedding a success. So he's telling us that the invitation he received from Brutus in September at Pegasus as the venue, and yet still later on, he's saying in his statement, he reserved the venue. He said, I contacted the management and reserved the venue Atlantic Center for Brutus. So big inconsistencies that you're telling me that should not have been investigated. You see, he's lying here. Liar King, liar the lion at work. And to tell me that you're going to close this investigation based on that statement is a travesty. Is a travesty. And I would have expected that the Financial Intelligence Unit, having seen this guy suspected of see all this, would have raised queries. And perhaps it's not too late to have this thing reopened. It is not too late to have it reopened. And then it says here that like I say between the 1st and the 10th of November, he received cash from a named businessman in a large envelope, 8,500,000 cash. That's what he said in an envelope. First, I have to say it's a big ass envelope. I noted, you're not saying several envelopes. You use singular in envelope. You just say you receive it in envelope. $8,500,000. $8.5 million. We all know, if some of you know, Guyana largest denomination is 5,000 the Granger. A wad of 100 is $500,000. $500,000. A wad of 100. $16.5 million in cash. Let's assume that it's in $5,000 bill, right? You're talking about 33 wads. Show me maths in the bad. This is sums. Got 16 to 32 plus the one which is 500. So you're talking about 33 watts in one envelope. What? And you see, y'all don't see craziness here? That this is all lies and so on? From a man who sits in the highest office in the police force? And then hear what it says to, then he said, According to the statement, he come this cash. Let me find out this thing here. Look, he said after he received this thing, he received the thing between that. He received the cash from this man. I subsequently counted the cash. And it amounted to $8,500,000. So you could imagine this man sitting down there counting 1, 2, 3, counting 16.5, $8.5 million. Sit down there and counting. That's what he said. Is that I am not making this up. That is what he says. Right? And then he said there was a refund. He got a refund of $900 and something thousand by a check, Scotiabank check. The number of the check and all this everything is stated, and he gave it to Brutus because if the thing so nonsensical at the bottom is that if the thing was what he said, I later gave the check to Assistant Commissioner Brutus because at everything that was paid for was consumed, there would not have been any refund. Hence, in principle, it belongs to Assistant Commissioner Brutus and spouse. I later submitted the statement. Can you imagine that? No, Jens Saalbach, Petal. He said envelope. So it's not no crocus bag or jute bag or salt bag. This money coming. This money came in envelope. Well, he said envelope. So there got to be a big ass envelope you're talking about. For 16, for 8.5. I said 16. 16 was the credit union. $8.5 million. And there's assuming that it was all in $5,000 note. If you had $1,000 note mix up there, me I know what can happen there. I know what would happen there if you had little $500 and $1,000 bill showing in the thing. Let me bring him as a cadre, man. I bought it a little too long. Let me bring him as a cadre. I'm going to come back to this because it didn't finish. CC, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. Like you know, I read the statement, and I'm certain it's a statement coming from the extended squadron. I know him since he's an apprentice. I know his language. And I realized when I read in some of the poor sentence construction, some statement that made no sense whatsoever. And even his signature, because I, from time to time, receive several correspondence from him with his signature. But let's get back to the statement. Here we say, I instituted a policy of motivating my officers through supporting them for special occasions such as weddings, birthdays, and anniversary by providing support from a stakeholders approach. I wonder what really is a stakeholders approach. I'll say he's right things that they make no sense. What is a stakeholders approach? And let me then teach him, you can't motivate nobody. Motivation's an inward thing. You got to create the situation for the person to be motivated. You say, okay, you scare the horse to the fountain where you can't make him drink. But then you have got to create an environment for the horse to become thirsty and want to drink. And sometimes money don't motivate people, you know. Then he mentioned he informed several of his friends. And the big thing, where we got the money from? A businessman. A businessman come and give you $8.5 million for a wedding ceremony to pay the expenses there. And you won't expect anything in return? Nothing in return? There's no quid pro quo? Something for something? I can't imagine a businessman couldn't go just give you $8.5 million and just walk away and don't expect or don't come back later for something. Or you don't come to some, well, was it money for guns? Can me ask? Was it money for guns? And the name of the businessman, or I will link him with perhaps the largest security service in this country, the CEO. And the police has got to be checking on those security services. No wonder those security services do a whole lot of nonsense, breaching the Private Security Act, and nothing is being done. Instances where they should be suspended. Instances where the firearms supposed to be seized. There are instances where persons who are not sworn being given firearm to use, and they're using it unjustly. So here it is, a big businessman in charge of the largest security in this country, giving you $8 million for a wedding ceremony, and he will not expect anything in return. This is Guyana. This is Guyana. So how could you enforce the Private Security Act in relation to that business entity? And then how we can get in to use common tone begging for you people? I think police is beg for themselves. He begging, calling any friends them to support Brutus at his wedding. It leads down to corruption. It leads to action, the on becoming of a commissioner of police or acting commissioner of police. And that is the man Nandalal saying, hey, should be extended, should be confirmed as a commissioner of police. That statement alone should disqualify him from further performing the duties of a commissioner of police. That statement alone, when you don't even want to analyze it, on the face of it, is enough evidence to say, hey, let this man go along with home. Let go home. But no, they're going to extend him. And he said, I can always repeat what he said, that Granger government was a one-term government. A one-term government. And when they win the election, so Jack Dio tell you when they win the election, they're going to make it commissioner. They make it commissioner. And quite recently, he said that Jack Dio said they're going to keep it till after election. And mark those words, until after elections. So he down there, earmark to do their elections biddings. Earmark to do their election biddings. This statement implicating himself. I don't want to go in too much of details. Paul, you went into details, but that statement is enough to tell the extended squad to go along your way. Go along your way. Even you got pay off, and let go along your way.
Time for him to take a rest. Let me say this, because I've seen some comments we talk about conflict of interest and all of that. You know what comes to mind when I read a statement? Misconduct in public office. This is a charge that has been bandied around a lot since 2020. Misconduct in public office for the man who sits there in the commission of police to tell people that he reached out to his personal friends and stakeholders for beg for money to finance one of his officers' wedding. And one businessman, that is what he said in his statement, gave him $8.5 million, which he counted himself. He made reservation at the Pegasus Hotel for this wedding. He paid for the meals and the food and the drinks and all this type of thing. And accessories. That is misconduct in public office, in my view. Because people have been charged for misconduct in public office who did far less than that. Can you imagine that? I mean, use your imagination a bit. This is the man who's sitting there as the commissioner of police, and he's admitting that he called his personal friends and people whom he referred to as stakeholders to tell them about Brutus' wedding. And they made monetary, at least one man made a monetary contribution of $8.5 million in one envelope. He received this envelope. He said he counted the money. $8.5 million. He counted the money. He sent his personal assistant to go to Pegasus to pay this money. And then later on, a check. And the question is asked here, in whose name this check was drawn? The refund check of $900 and something thousand. In whose name it was drawn? In whose name? You see, all of these things were things that the people who said the closest investigation should have gone through. And if you went through them and you asked the pertinent and relevant questions, you'd have gotten proper answer and to see that this is part of the crime. Because I just remind y'all, or perhaps whatever did, let me remind y'all, Watergate. You just talk about Watergate that brought down a president in the United States, President Nixon. He wasn't involved in the crime when they broke into the Watergate building to steal documents. He wasn't involved, but he was involved in the cover-up. He was involved in the cover-up, and many of those others who were involved in the cover-up went to jail. Went to jail because the cover-up is considered as a very serious crime as well. But here we have. So I am saying that the fact that this statement was given might very well be part of the cover-up to this crime of money laundering. Very well be a part of the cover-up or what? The FIU said, well, all right, we accepted the statement on face value. I mean, they are not, as I said, I don't think that they do investigation, but I would have thought they would have analyzed it and sent it back and said, we're not satisfied that a proper investigation was done. Mechanized, we are not satisfied that this money, what they're saying, $46.4 million, was properly accounted for, or was properly or legally acquired. Again, think about it, You got senior, the two most senior police officers in terms of appointment. That is the acting commissioner and the man in charge of admin. They're sitting down there, the man in charge of admin getting worried. And they can call around stakeholders and personal friends. And one man, I know what the others bring. Carl was saying, although he talks to his personal friends and he talked to stakeholders, he's saying one man gave him $8.5 million. What happened to the rest? What happened to the rest of friends that he spoke with? What happened to the stakeholders? How much did they give? Questions should have been asked from the inception. Because of the shoddy nature of the investigation, those questions were not asked. And that is why we're going to continue to highlight these things. We are going to continue to highlight these things. Right? Continue. And let me say this. Talking about that, it occurred to me today is the 16th of October. I remember it first, but I understand that there's a matter coming up before Justice Gino Prasad today where a person is seeking to leave the country. He was prevented from leaving. And he has a matter fixed to today before Justice Gino Prasad because it came up sometime last week or sometime ago, and the respondents were not named. So the lawyers representing Mr. Brutus were advised that they must name the respondents to this of this application. Right? The respondents are likely to be, based on the case, if you're stopping a man from leaving the country, the respondent got to be who the investigators are. Investigators in this case, I think, are Suku. You got to be the chief immigration officer, who by law is the commissioner of police. You got to be perhaps to the attorney general as the respondents. So I understand the matter was to come up today. I don't know if it come up yet or coming up later, where he's seeking permission to leave. But here, let me tell you something. Maybe it's another S visa here. Remember, come time we're going to talk about the snitch visa, where a certain man get, and he traveled to the States and spent a couple of days. And the suspicion is that he sang one of those nice tunes. Not the tune that we'll sing tomorrow, Thursday. He sang one of those tunes. Lots of tunes maybe he sang. But I understand that the people are determined. They're not going to get another Dataram who's going to travel out to the country and go and spill the beans and then get sentenced to time served. So let's see how that will go. I thought it's important enough for me to mention it. Let me see how that can go. Right? Let me say, I remember the alleged statement where the man said he ain't going down alone. Y'all remember that? So if Soku is now saying that they recommend dozens of charges, and it is instructive, it's instructive. You got to listen to the wording. They recommend dozens of charges. They not state the exact amount. That is unusual. So when they don't know what are the charges that they recommended, not proved, they must know that they recommend 5 charges of misconduct in public office, 5 charges of fraud, 5 charges of fraud. They got to know. But they're trying to hoodwink me by telling me they recommend dozens of charges against, and here now, man, here now. Then let me read back, let me check this thing again. They don't name the people against whom the charges were recommended, which is appropriate. You don't want to name the people. But they say the investigation must conclude all relevant files sent to the Director of Public Prosecution Review and advise for action. In respect of the letter recommended dozens of charges. And they said no criminal charges in the first case, subsequently based on critical information, blah, 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 more expansive. The investigation was concluded on the first, and all relevant files were sent to the Director of Public for review, advice, and further action. Right? So since the 1st of October, the file was sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions for what I say, for review, advice, and further action. And at Stabrook News not published this article today, you wouldn't hear about that. You would not have heard about that. So it gone there almost, well, not almost, not until 2016, more than 2 weeks now, and they're quiet. But, as we said, what is likely to happen? From experience, from past experience, you can go back to the police for clarification. Remember when the Amla got all the evidence, they sent it back, and then magic took place. So he's going to go back for clarifying this, get a further statement here, get a further statement there, and all of that. Dancing. Those of you who know soca music and so on, Super Blue. He was Blue Boy, then he became Super Blue. What he said? The bouncing start. Yeah, the bouncing start is the bouncing starting. It's the bouncing start. So he can bounce to DPP, he can bounce to Soku, and he can bounce all around the place, and then later on, you might get a Dharamlal. You might get a Dharamlal. So we have to watch to see that, right? And then when they talk about this extensive, you know what they say? This information, I hope they include investigating the people at the police finance office. Because they must be a part of this thing. They would have drawn checks, prepared vouchers and all of these things. What about the secretary and his driver, who it was said, the evidence is there, large cash advances. What about the driver who they said clean out the account of $50 million just in time? According to the news article, once they got an order from the court to go to the account, it cleared out just before $50 million. A driver, he's a sergeant. Yeah. What about are all those things included? I don't know. Well, let's wait to see what will happen. Let's wait to see what will happen with this matter. As I said, the bouncing start. This, on the face of this alone, I can see charges. If a proper investigation was done, I can see charges against several persons, including the extended squatter. For that statement he made that no investigation and no money, that is collusion. And let me remind you, I was taught that you can be, the ways you can be associated with a crime. You don't have to be the principal in the first degree, the man who actually committed the crime. You can be the principal in the second degree. You can be an accessory before the fact. You can be an accessory after the fact. Again, let me repeat. In order to be connected with a crime, I learned that you got the principal in the first degree, the principal in the second degree. Accessory before the fact, accessory after the fact. And I sure if you can get them, not for them as principal in the first and second degree in the case of the extended squatter, at least accessory after the fact. This statement alone is prima facie evidence for charge for misconduct in office or accessory to crime, accessory after the fact. Again, I said, let them write more, let them write, let them talk. And the next thing you have to note, I know if you have to pick this up, you see, we got to teach and research. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time when Soku denied that they had this statement, when I think it was Sunday, Stabrook News carried an article about seeing this statement from Ikin, and then Soku came out with a statement shortly after to say they don't have any such statement in the file. significant. They say they ain't get it in the file. Where did they, if it, in other words, they are confining this statement to be in the file. They have it in the file. That's what they say. And then this morning they came out with this statement. I can't recall Soku coming out with any statement before. Normally a statement like this, the police corporate propaganda unit would have made something that says other crap that they're gonna write. Long stupid gonna write. But to me, it is significant that on this occasion, in this particular incident, Soku is the one who is making these two, at least they made these two releases. The one denying, saying that they don't have any such file, any such statement in the file, and this morning saying that Sabuknews got it wrong, it's misleading, that they conclude this is investigation over 2 weeks ago and it's sent to the director. Congratulations, Sabuknews. Had you not made this report this morning, the Guyanese public would have been sitting here and none the wiser as to what is transpiring in this investigation. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for a little more of this, Martin, and then we're going to move on. CC.
Yeah. I don't want to go into details, but I don't know if the police really do what we call environmental scanning. You scan both the internal and the external environment. I wonder if they check and see if they scan and see what's going on in New York with the mayor, or what is going on with the NYPD in terms of corruption and other things. You know, I wonder if they're doing any environmental scanning.
But talking about that, you know, you maybe you're psychic because I pull up a article some time ago. New York Police Commissioner resigns amid nightclub probe, and they said the news around recent development has created a distraction for our department, and I'm unwilling to let my attention be on anything other than our important work or the safety of the men and women in the New York Police Department. Caban said in an email to members of the New York Police Department, which was obtained by NBC. He said you owe emails. In other words, there was an investigation not so long ago, and the New York Commissioner of Police resigned because of the investigation. Something involved with twin brother and some nightclub arrangement. The commissioner resigned because there's accountability. And if you recall too, in the same New York, not so long ago, the mayor indicted criminally for corruption. You know what happened? Somebody indictment, he took gifts, flying an aircraft to go to Turkey and that place and get upgraded to business class, free of cost. Go to hotels, get upgraded to fancy suites and so on. That is criminal, and he was charged for those things, apart from other offenses and so on. And here we have a man sitting in the commissioner's chair, admitting to accepting $8.5 million from a businessman. And in this land, this dear land of Guyana, that is seen as par for the course. Nothing is happening. As a matter of fact, more than par for the course. That is seen as something to make the man promoted to the rank of commissioner. And who can forget Bernard Cleric, the former New York commissioner? I have an article somewhere about Cleric, you know. I'll tell you, I just do the research where Cleric was coming to Guyana to reform the police force. I remember that's one of the shocks I get because at the time I was the person spearheading the reform, and Gail Teixeira was acting Home Affairs Minister. So when I saw in the news, and we were having several discussions on the reform of the force, and when I saw in the news that Bernard Carrick, the commissioner from New York, was coming, I shocked because that was never discussed. I understand the man got a bill, $8-point-something million for blasted criminal. They coming for reform the police force back then. That would have been around 2004, 2005 time. That is what was going on. But I'm saying again that all that has been revealed about the actions of the acting commissioner and all of these people. I don't know how extensive this investigation was because they're saying that they did this second an expansive investigation. That's the word they use. I don't know how expansive it was because if it is as expansive as it should be, not only them senior people, you get a lot of other people, unless of course they use them for give evidence against those people. People at the finance office cannot escape all them vouchers. The junior ranks, not necessarily because they would have been told to prepare a voucher, they prepare the voucher. But the senior ones in there have to share some culpability. What happened to the people at the Ministry of Home Affairs who are responsible for this arrangement? Because, as I've said, the police, as far as I'm aware, they're not self-accounting. The PS of Affairs is the accounting officer for the Guyana Police Force. I understand both capital and current accounts. So that is the case. All these hundreds of millions are talking about, apart from the conflict where they're claiming in one of the articles that I read, that hundreds of millions of dollars in families' account. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Corruption at the highest level. Corruption. And they sit down there and they're accepting that. You know why? Because they bati biting too. They bati biting. They're going to try to cut a deal because they don't want everything revealed. They don't want everything revealed. But let's wait tomorrow at that news out, 2 o'clock. You know the song? You know the song? Mighty Duke. I tell you, I must listen to Mighty Duke. I'm trying to see if I can get it played on this thing and so on, but then just bounce you off. Mighty Duke, Woman Bacchanal. It was a big bacchanal just the other day with the Nida and Shea Makume. They must read the thing, man. They must read the thing. Girl, you should shameful cause me for true. It's me, Inido, you talking to. When you are sick in the hospital, I'll lend you me dress me nighty and all. Why you know what shame the Makume say? You didn't say him last week, Saturday. When your husband came home earlier instead, you had to hide the man underneath the bed. Come here, listen to them diplomatic views out and enjoy yourself. Mighty Duke, it's on YouTube. Listen to it. You can get some of that tomorrow. And those questions should be asked. But people frightened to ask questions. You live in a place where people are so intimidated, they're afraid to ask questions. Folks, the time is almost up. We have much more to tell you. And I suspect that between today, Wednesday, and Monday morning, more can happen. And if it becomes necessary, we're going to come back. Now, one of the things I should have told you, I forget, I'm going to run it here now, is that some people have been asking me how they can contribute to the program. They want to assist. We're going to accept any assistance. But look at the bottom here, scrolling across the screen, is the Zelle number. For those of you who have been hunging me to say you want to make an contribution to the program, the Zelle number is there. Also, I want to take this opportunity to thank all those of you who have called. Well, a few persons, not many, but a few persons have actually made some contributions, and it is welcome. Because it costs to run this program, you know. It costs me to run this program. The platform, StreamYard, stationery, it costs. Don't believe it's easy. All the research you got to do, printing here, buy dash cam, and make sure, because you would have noted some time ago, we upgrade with lights, and it costs money. And so therefore, those of you who want to make a contribution, easiest way to contribute is by Zelle. And the Zelle number is scrolling across there. And I thank you in advance for whatever contribution you want to make. Mr. Conway, your closing remarks, please.
You preempted me, because somehow I get a feeling that events will take place that would cause us to come back before Monday, you know. But then let's look and see what's going on, and let's wait and see.
Yes, folks, we gotta wait and see. Again, I tell you, subscribe to the channel, YouTube. You subscribe to YouTube and hit the notification button, and you're gonna get a notification whenever we go live or whenever we post anything on the channel. Also, on Facebook, like the page, follow the page, and you are going to get notification. Because I have a strong suspicion the crystal ball is telling me that between now and Monday, things are likely to happen. And if it happens, those things, we might want to come right away and analyze and bring it to your attention. Again, I thank you in advance for whatever contribution you will make to the program. And stay safe, friends. Stay safe. I noted a while ago some report of another abduction somewhere, a man barely safe. We can talk about that maybe on Monday. We have so much more to talk about. So I implore you to stay safe. Accidents, other ills are around, and you have a responsibility to take care of your safety. So until we meet again, God spare life, maybe Monday or even before, stay safe. Bye.